Hey everyone! In the previous video we got to know about how gender plays a very important role in politics. In this video we will get to know how religion plays an important role in political framework, and we will define that how religious differences are often expressed in the field of politics, okay? And there are different views through which they express themselves, okay? Let's start with it. First is religion and politics. First we are going to start with with Gandhiji's views, okay? So that religion can never be separated. Gandhiji believed that religion and politics can never be separated. The government should be able to regulate religion to prevent the discrimination. It is very important, we must remember it exactly. They believe that religion and politics can never be separated, and the government should be able to regulate religion to prevent discrimination, okay? So what he meant by this is that he didn't mean like that that religion was from any particular religion like Hinduism or Islam. What he was talking about was, he was talking about the moral values. He was talking about the moral values, okay, that inform all religions. He believed that politics must be guided by the ethics which are drawn from the religion. Ethics drawn from religion. This is what he wanted to say by this. Gandhiji believed that religion and politics can never be separated, and the government should make attempts in their several measures through which they could regulate the religion and prevent any sort of discrimination that takes place. And what he wanted to say through religion in the sphere of politics was that he was talking about the moral values, the ethics which were drawn from the religion. He was not talking about any particular religion like Hinduism or Islam, that the kind of politics we often see nowadays, that they are having politics on the basis of religion and caste. He was not talking about that. He was talking about the moral values that each religion carries, or the ethics that each religion have, okay? And then later, if we talk about the second view, is we have human rights view that says to protect the minorities, okay? So first we can talk about it is Gandhiji's view. Then second we can talk about that we have the human rights group in our country that argue that most of the victims of communal riots. So issue is about communal riots, okay? So here what we have, so these communal riots in our country are people from religious minorities. They suffer, basically the people from religious minorities suffer from these communal riots. So the government should take several measures, steps in order to protect these religious minorities, alright? The number third we have that the protecting women from any like family laws or certain laws which are maintained within the society. I just write it like women have argued that family laws of a religion discriminate against women. So they have demanded the government should change these laws to make them more equitable. Let's take it as family laws, okay? So Gandhiji's views was that several moral values and ethics which are drawn from religion should be incorporated within the politics. Through communal rights, the human rights activists want to highlight the issue that the minority section within a country suffer a lot through these communal rights. So they need to be protected. Minority should be protected, okay, by the government. It's by several steps taken by the government in order to save the minority. And talking about the family law, it is about the discrimination that women face within the society through several laws which has been maintained from like centuries, from years and years by the society or by the family law. They're talking about like Shariat law, okay? So what they want the government to take steps in order to provide like to make changes in these laws so that they could be more equitable and could be beneficiary for both the genders and for all the sections of the society, okay? So that's how we can say that religion and politics should be incorporated within each other, and religion should be incorporated within the political framework, okay? Let's move ahead. We'll talk about the communalism now. Okay, so this is basically the expression of superiority or dominance of one religion over the another in politics is called communal politics, okay? So basically if we considered one religion important or like give more priority than the other, then it is basically known as communal politics. So So basically there is a difference between what Gandhiji wanted to propagate and what is communalism. So Gandhiji wanted to say the several ideas and values which are drawn from the religion can we perhaps play an important role in the politics, can be incorporated within politics, so that the people could express it in a better way, their needs in the political framework, and they could raise their demands and interest within the society by being incorporating within themselves within their particular religion as a member of religious community, or we can say it like that. So those who hold like political power of any particular religion could make several attempts, could make certain changes, so that could be able to regulate the practice of religion, so that it could, any form of discrimination or oppression any particular community faces, it could be eradicated. Okay, so these kind of political acts, what he wanted to say, Gandhiji wanted to incorporate within the political framework. Okay, and they are not wrong in any way, or could mistreat any religion badly. Okay, these were in such a way that all religion could be treated equally. But communalism is something different. Communalism, the problem here is that the expression of superiority or dominance of one particular religion over the another in politics is called what? Communal politics. Okay, so the problem here begins is that whenever one religion have dominance, they try to oppress the minority ones basically. So in that terms, what they are not able to express themselves or represent themselves within the political or the public framework. This leads to communal politics and oppression for the minority. So communalism is basically a situation when a particular religion community, they try to promote its own interest at the cost of what? Other communities. So here religion is perceived as a basis of a nation. We can write it here that religion is considered as the basis of nation. Okay, one religion and its followers are pitted against each other. So communalism happens when belief of one religion, as we have stated before, and its followers are presented as superior. This superior or dominance of one religion or its followers to those of the other religion. Okay, the idea that religion is based on the social community is known as so communalism includes what? Everyday beliefs and prejudices, stereotypes, and beliefs in the superiority of one religion over the other. So it includes beliefs, stereotypes, that one religion is better than the other or one religion is superior than other. Then we have political dominance. That is the quest for political dominance of one religious community through dominance or separation from the state. Okay, so then we can write here is as political dominance. That one particular community or religion, what they want their dominance within the country, and for that they can even like suppress the minority, or they maintain their dominance, or even can demand for a separate state or country. Okay, then we will talk about the political mobilization. Okay, so what happened here in political mobilization on religious lines, that they use of sacred symbols, religious leaders in the political framework. Okay, so we are going to write it like political mobilization. Here several parties or communities, what they do, they started mobilizing the religion in terms of political framework. Okay, so like use of various sacred symbols or religious leaders, or like sacred books or places or anything, they try to use it as their political mobilization framework. Okay, so that's how they were able to include the term like communalism. They wanted to propagate the term communalism through beliefs and stereotypes, like one particular community is superior than the other. Political dominance, that one religious community wanted to have a superiority towards within the country, the dominance within the country, and for that what they do, they either try to maintain dominance by oppressing the minorities, or what they do, they started having demands for a separate state or separate country. Political mobilization is the use of political leaders, sacred books, sacred texts, or anything related to the religion for their mobilization in the political framework. Okay, and the special appeal to the interests or emotions of voters of one religion in the preference to the other. So it also affects the voting basis as well. Why? That one particular community supports one one religious community, basically it's suppose one party, right? So that's how they try to also differentiate, or they also try to like special appeal towards the interest or emotions of voters of one religion in preference to the other. That's how they try to maintain communalism. Okay, if we talk about communalism in politics, okay, so there are several ways or several forms communalism can take place within the political framework. Number one is that everyday belief, prejudices, stereotypes and believes in superiority of one religion over the other. Then the quest for political dominance of one own religious community. Number third is the political mobilization on religious line, and number fourth is communal violence and riots. Okay, we have talked about the prejudices, stereotypes and beliefs in one religion over the another in the previous slide. Then it is the political dominance that I was talking about of one's own religious community. Okay, and the third one is the mobilization on religious lines, we have just talked about it, and the last is the communal violence. The communal violence and riots in which the minorities suffer the most, basically, if we talk about, so that and they try to use this violence and riots in order to maintain their in order to be in power or to maintain their dominance within the country. That's how they try to incorporate communalism in the framework of politics. Okay, let's move ahead. We have now secular state. Okay, the Constitution of India declares that India a secular state with no official religion. India doesn't have any official religion, and we have freedom to practice any religion that we want. It prohibits any sort of religious discrimination and allows the state intervention, as we can see in several issues of like Shariat law or like triple talaq that we had, right? So the state intervene in one way or another in order to provide their conditions that are equitable for every individual within that community. So the Constitution of India declares that India as a secular state with no official religion. We don't have any particular religion. It is to freedom to practice any religion that they want. It prohibits any form of religious discrimination and allows the state interference. Okay, intervention. So this chair is for the CM designate to prove his secular credentials. There will be plenty of rocking. So we can see in this picture as well, the political leaders try to attract different communities. Okay, so they cannot just win their votes on the basis of just one community in a diverse country like India. So what they want to have to attract the voters from various different religious communities to increase their vote bank, basically. So in this picture we can see that chair has been made in such a way that it could incorporate almost every religion. That we have Christianity, Hinduism, Muslim and every religion. Okay, so this chair is for CM designate to prove his secular credentials. This is one way or another the CM candidate or CM designate wanted to prove their secular credentials, that they are secular in every form and they are going to protect and promote, or basically are going to work for every religious community, so that every religious community could be supported to that particular CM or designate, or could could be attracted towards that and will vote for that particular candidate or one. So that's how we can say we are a secular state, because there is no official religion. We have freedom to practice any religion that we want. It prohibits any form of religious discrimination and allows what state intervention within any issue, so that any form of discrimination could be avoided and equitable conditions could be maintained. So basically our constitution or our political leaders propagated the idea of a secular state in order to avoid the issues, or wanted to resolve the problems of communalism in our country. So for that they propagated the idea of secular state, in which declared that India is a secular state with no official religion. So a secular state is which has no official religion. It is officially neutral in matters of religion. India has no official religion as so far, and our constitution does not give any special status to any particular religion. It also enters that the freedom to profess practice and propagate any religion that they want, or not to follow any religion according to Article 25 to 28 of the Indian Constitution. And the Constitution also prohibits in any form of discrimination on the grounds of religion. So the Constitution allows the state to intervene in the matters of religion to ensure the equality within the religious community. For example, if we take, for example, untouchability was banned by the Article 17 of the Constitution. That's how the secular state, idea of secular state was propagated. Okay, now moving ahead, what we got to know about is the religious diversity in India. The population of different religious communities in India in 2011, according to the census of 2011. So we have Hindu with 79%, that is the highest in majority, basically 79.8%, and then we have Muslim for 14.2%. okay, this is, and then we have Christians who are 2.3% and others in around 2.0%. okay, so that's how it determines the population of different religious communities in our country, with this as majority and these as minorities in our country. okay, so that's how the religious diversity within our country has been propagated so far. So what we have understood so far is that, in the sense that secularism is not just an ideology of some parties or something, of persons. This idea constitutes the foundation of our country. Secularism, that is, that no particular religion is superior to any other, they have equal status within our country. So the communalism should not be seen as just it is attacking just one particular minority or one particular section of the society, but it is threatening the very idea, the very basis of our country, of India. And why communalism needs to be combated? It is that the secular constitution like our country, or like secular constitution like ours, is necessary, but it is not sufficient to combat this communalism. So communal prejudices or any propaganda needs to be countered in every sort of a way, so that it could be eradicated within our everyday life, religion, and such mobilization that occurs, they need to be countered in the area of politics. okay, so that's why we can say that secular state is important, and it is not just an ideology, it is very important in comparison to combating the communalism that exists within our country. So however, we must also remember there was a differences between what Gandhiji wanted to propagate and what communalism is. Gandhiji wanted to have moral values or the ethical views of every religion, of a religion, incorporated within the politics. He didn't wanted to say that religion or any particular religion like Hinduism or Islam should be given superior status in comparison to the other one, or wanted to propagate communalism. There was a very clear difference between what Gandhiji wanted and what communalism was, basically. And why secular state is very important and communalism has to be eradicated, I have mentioned it before only. So in this video we got to know how religion and politics are interlinked, and they play a very important role in terms of the politics of a country like our country, like India. In the next video, we will talk about how caste plays an important role in politics and how everything revolves around caste and politics. Okay, so till then, bye bye.